Hi, I'm John Newton, aka Snap-on John 100, and you are watching Wilderness Self-Reliance. Today I'm going to be continuing with my wet weather fire building. The rain has continued for several days now. There's been flooding in I think 3 different counties, including this one. The river here is pretty much at its banks, and there's been a lot of roads that were flooded out. So this is a perfect conditions to be practicing your wet weather fire building skills. Also, I will be collecting American mandrakes or May-apples. It's toward the end of July, and that's about the time they get ripe, and just make sure you read about them before you harvest any, because there's a lot of parts of them that are poisonous. Stay with me. Here's one of the May-apples or American mandrakes. There's the plant, and you have to get the ones that are a couple years old where they have a Y, and right there's the fruit. Okay? It's delicious. You're not supposed to eat the seeds or the outer tough shell of this. Just you scoop out the inside and enjoy. It's sort of like custard pudding. I'm going to be gathering some cedar bark because this is going to be I'm going to be creating a fire with just a knife and a ferro rod. And so I'm going to be getting some cedar bark that I might or might not use. I'm going to have it just in case. But if it's really wet and nasty out and you've got cedar anywhere, that's a resource you want to make sure you get. And I will show you how you collect it. We've got a little visitor. We have a little visitor. Is that cute or what? He's still small enough that he's kind of stumbling. There he goes. Behind me is a cedar tree right here, and I'm going to be scraping the bark with a condor bush lorer. That's the knife I'm carrying today, and as you can see, the wood handle scales are beautiful. They were pretty homely when I got it, but I rubbed this stuff I call knife wax, which is mineral oil and beeswax. I rubbed that into the scales and brought the grain out. But the fit and finish of this knife is excellent, and the sheath is really good. So that's what I'm going to use. There's what it looks like. Okay, and I'm just going to put this in my pocket. To help it dry out. That should be sufficient. But once again, and it's a coal extender, but I'm going to be using a ferro rod, and I'm probably going to not, I'm going to try not to use the cedar bark. I gathered some of this dead wood that was blown down by the recent storm, and I'm going to try to process that now. But since I'm just using my knife, I'm going to be using this tree right here as a lever to hold on to it while I try to snap it off so it's more manageable. What I just did is I broke it so that I didn't have to deal with knots. So I broke these ends with branches in them off. That should be sufficient. I got some poplar that I found, so I'm also going to try to make a feather stick with this too. I'm going to use my glove to insulate me from the ground. Basically just trying to get the outer bark away first. That still is retaining moisture. Okay. Now I'm just trying to get really thin feathers by holding it at a really shallow angle. And I don't care if they fall off either, because I'm going to be collecting them anyway. What I'm focusing on, rather than having them stick, is I'm focusing on how thin they can be. Finding the right angles is trial and error, because every knife is a little different. But from experience I can tell you that the knives without a secondary bevel work the best for making feather sticks or getting feathers. And my personal favorite is a convex edge that doesn't have a secondary bevel on it. Okay, that one's good. I'm going to try to find some dry wood from this wood I split. Same thing, just try to get a really shallow angle on it. This wood in the center should be fairly dry, so I didn't have to take any of the bark off of this one. Splitting it got rid of that. If you notice now, I'm holding the knife fairly steady and just trying to draw the wood past the edge to try to maintain that really shallow angle. That's probably plenty. If not, you get the idea. Just make as many as you need. I'm going to prep a spot for a little temporary fire. Okay, we're going to give it a shot with a ferro rod now. Well, there you have it. I showed you how to gather some materials when it's rainy and wet out, how to go to the inside of the wood, make a feather stick, and then to strike it with a ferro rod. I didn't have to use my cedar bark, but that would have made it even easier. So just remember, if you're ever in the woods and it's all rainy and everything's wet, look for cedar and birch. There aren't any birch around here, so I found cedar bark. But the key is going to the center, the heart of finding dead standing wood and splitting it open and processing feathers out of that, and you can strike a ferro rod with it. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe, make sure you push the like button, the little thumbs up, push that. Subscribe if you haven't, that helps me out a lot. Liking and both subscribing. And until we meet again, God bless. Well, I just thought I would answer a few questions before they arose. the rig I'm carrying is a Kelty 3500 pack. The 3500 is not referenced to how much it holds. I think it's just slightly over 2,000 square cubic inches. So it's not 3500. That's a model number. And in front, I'm sporting a Leatherman Wave that I got from my great friend Alan, Ferro, which has a phenomenal YouTube channel just under the name Ferro. And it's in a Maxpeditions case. I was also wearing a Supplex nylon long sleeve shirt that has permethrin sprayed on it for bug control. Alright, so I also want to show you what the May-apples look like. Here's a few of them. You just want to make sure that you let them ripen. But that's about how big they are. Alright. Be blessed.